Today we're facing Reason Gaming, and I think we're gonna win easy.
I think we're individually better, and our jungler is more skilled than their jungler, and that's what pretty much the game is about right now.
Like, if he's playing bad, they are losing. Like, it's all about him. If we shut him down, we win.
Hopefully, if we bring out the best we can get, I think we can take the win.
Nothing in the games that they played versus NIPs impressed me. I think we prepared enough to win versus Reason.
We know their play style, so we know how to beat them.
So basically we need to win to get the qualification for the promotion.
If we win, then we get to play one of the bottom LCS teams and have a chance to qualify for LCS.
And if we lose, we pretty much go home.
Hello everyone and welcome to the 2014 European Challenger Series Spring Playoffs, brought to you thanks in part by our friends at Coca-Cola and Jojo Miller. And alongside me again is none other than Trevor Quickshot Henry. How are you doing today, Quickshot? Someone trolled me by putting an extra show in there.
I'm doing fantastic, and I'm glad to be here kicking off the last day of playoffs. We're going to find out which team is going to the promotion tournament alongside Cloud9 and Ninjas in Pajamas.
Yeah, we are today closing out the European Challenger Series Spring Playoffs, starting with a best-of-5 matchup between DNL Esports and Reason Gaming for third place, but more importantly, for the third and final berth in the LCS Summer Promotion Tournament.
Yeah, and then immediately following our third place match, the top-seeded Ninjas in Pajamas take on the second-seeded Cloud9 Eclipse for the first ever European Challenger Series title. One of those two teams will be making history as the first Challenger champs ever.
And of course, you can always track the Challenger action simply by going to lolesports.com.
Yeah, there you can find stats, scores, schedules, and more under the Leagues and Tournaments tab near the top of the page.
And now that we've got all that business done, let's get down to the fun bit. It's time for the Challenger Series Spring Playoffs third place match between DNL Esports and Reason Gaming. And while these teams came up short in yesterday's semi-finals, they still have one more chance to win their way into that all-important summer promotion tournament.
Yeah, win 3 games and they are in. It is that simple in theory. But to do that, these teams will have to shake off yesterday's very tough losses. In the first semi-final match, DNL went head-to-head against Cloud9 Eclipse, a team that they had actually deleted in the second Challenger Series. But after dropping game 1 of the semis, DNL bounced back. Then they forced that game 3. But unfortunately, in that must-win game 3, DNL did not. And now they have one more shot to make it to the promo tourney today.
But standing in their way, of course, is Reason Gaming, or actually it might be more like lying in their way, because yesterday Reason were rolled over by the Ninjas in Pajamas.
Yeah, game 1 of the series, NIP recorded a perfect game. Reason didn't get a single kill, nor did they get a tower, nor did they even get a dragon. It was a complete shutout. I think game 2 didn't go much better. It still ended with Reason Gaming's Nexus being blown up, and now they find themselves in this final fight to keep their LCS dreams alive.
And while Reason looked overmatched against the former LCS pros, the talent gap in today's game, I think we can say, is much closer. Now, if they want a shot at the promotion tournament, they're gonna need Trashy to step up big time here. We heard it in the video before. He's a key man on the team.
And I agree with that. You just saw Reason's stat line versus NIP. Out of the 6 kills they managed as a team, Trashy got half of them. He was the only player on Reason to have a positive KDA, more kills than Dest at 3-2-1. Plus, he stepped up big in a high-pressure pack game 3 of their quarterfinals. This is a long time ago. This is where he recorded 7 of his team's 11 kills against Team Coast Gold. I think there's even more pressure on Trashy today because he needs to step up once again, and this is a do-or-die match if Reason wants to pull out the victory.
And I think we can say, just like Reason, DNL are going to need their jungle to step up as well if they want to make a play for the promotion tournament. After having an impressive second spring series, Kikis was kicked around yesterday by Ku and Cloud9 Eclipse in yesterday's playoff semi-final.
Yeah, so Kikis ran with Master Yi, the jungler du jour at the moment, in 2 of their 3 games versus Cloud9 Eclipse. And frankly, he was underwhelming at best.
Yeah.
It did not work out. The one champion he did do well with was in their game 2 win. He had a much better performance as Evelyn. He provided lane pressure that his team needed, and he had some good flanks. I do have to admit, though, his positioning on both Yi and Eve in the first 15 to 20 minutes cost his team kills. He needs to think a little bit more about that. In conjunction with the rest of his team, I think DNL needs a stronger laning phase, and they need to fix the issues with that early game control and positioning, and Kikis will be a very key member to solving those problems for him and his team.
And with that, let's check out the starting lineup. Spawning on the blue side for the odd numbers games is DNL Esports, with Babunia in the top lane, Kikis in the jungle, Nick in the mid lane, Woolite the AD carry, and Super A is the support.
And gearing up on the red side for the even number games, it's Reason Gaming, with Beanzu in the top lane, Trashy in the jungle, Senkirk's in the mid lane, Chrisland on AD carry, and Barney D as your support.
So as we move to Champion Select then, as per usual, what are we expecting to see from this game?
So yesterday we seen Master Yi, we seen Nocturne being pulled out. Master Yi was obviously played by DNL. Nocturne was pulled out by Reason, neither of which were super successful.
Yeah.
I think outside of the jungle picks, I'm expecting a lot more sort of standard meta champions, because both of these players and teams run a lot of the meta picks. You do need to keep your eyes open on Senkirk, though. He does like to throw a spanner in the works with those oddball assassin picks every now and again.
I thought you were going to say with the Heimerdinger, because, you know, he throws spanners as well. First ban out, though, in this first game will, in fact, be Thresh for DNL. If we think back to yesterday, DNL had Morgana and Mundo banned against them in every single game against Cloud9 Eclipse. This time around, Ziggs will be the first ban out from Reason.
So that's an interesting one, because yesterday DNL did actually first pick Thresh in their third and final game, and we felt that when Super Ace was on Thresh and not on Kayle, he was having, he had a larger impact in the game. So I think it's interesting to see DNL taking that one away. They may put some priority on a first pick Lulu, which is also something they did yesterday.
So Lee Sin taken away from this one as well, not wanting Trashy to get his hands on that one. Mundo will be banned away again against Babunia in this top lane. So that's 4 games now in a row here this weekend that Mundo will be banned against DNL.
4 for 4, nobody in the Challenger Series or Challenger Playoffs wants DNL to play Mundo. It's that simple.
Yep.
Considering the power of that comfort pick and seeing how well Babunia did actually play yesterday, it's not surprising. The one thing I do want to highlight, Ryze is still up and available, and that was also a champion that Babunia really impressed us with. It did a lot of work against Cloud9 and was largely responsible for their Game 2 victory.
So we see actual first pick coming in here. Nidalee, final ban, by the way, for Reason was LeBlanc. That'd be against Nick, but they've locked in that Nidalee straight away here, not messing around. And of course, it was Nidalee that caused them the problems yesterday against Cloud9 Eclipse. In fact, the 2 games that they lost were against the Nidalee.
Interestingly, Nidalee has been first picked on blue side, not on red side. So this is something that we're seeing from a trend from the Challenger teams, is that preference to get that Nidalee. It's a safe lane. You know, you have a heal, you're very mobile once you hit 6. And as we talked about yesterday, there's always a point in the game where a Nidalee Spear is going to decimate your HP bar. It is just a matter of time. And thanks to the fact that you can heal and that it's quite difficult to lock it down, you're almost safe in knowing we'll get to that point eventually.
So, Reason Gaming here taking Lucian Leona. Now, we can draw some very real comparisons to yesterday, because every single game they banned Morgana. Cloud9 Eclipse banned Morgana against DNL and took Leona every single game. This time, Morgana's available. They've taken Leona. Will we see that here for DNL?
It's a definite option for DNL. The real question is, what do they want to do with the rest of their composition? If you do go for the likes of a Morgana, I may even theorize you might want to stick a Caitlyn in there. Caitlyn versus Lucian is not necessarily a terrible matchup. Yes, the Morgana into Leona is a slightly more difficult to play if you're the Morgana, but both champions have the option to counter the other. What we've seen, especially in the North American scene, is Leonas can beat Morganas by taking advantage of the Black Shield. Jump up. Once you know the target with the Black Shield, you just flash and stun the alternative person in the lane and go for the kills that way. So there are tools to work with. But, as I was going to say, DNL, they need to decide what they want. We've seen a Kayle support from Super Ace yesterday. I was not particularly impressed by it. But on the same token, DNL, Kikis were just completely destroyed by Ku, so he never got a chance to really scale into it.
They didn't get a chance to do much, did they, in game number 1? That was a very one-sided affair. Ryze going to be picked up here, though, for Babunia. We talked about that he actually, in the game that they won against Cloud9 Eclipse, played Ryze, game number 2, ended up 5-3-11, had a strong game on that one. His Jarvan pick later on didn't work in that series. I'm happy to see him on Ryze here today.
There's already a emerging problem that I don't like from DNL. They're going to take time to get to a power spike. You know, Nidalee needs to get ability power before javelins are going to hurt. Ryze needs 20 to 30 minutes before his tier and his Rod of Ages are completed and stacked up. If DNL do not have a strong laning phase, they can get bullied and pushed around the map. They cannot afford to make mistakes. And when you look at Reason locking in Elise as that very early gank-heavy jungler that can disrupt those slower laners, there's a lot of pressure and onus on Denial to make sure they don't fall behind in the early stages of this game.
So we are going to see Elise here in the jungle for Reason and Irelia. Now, Irelia played in the last 3 games, actually, by Reason's top lane of Binsu, both games against Ninjas in Pyjamas, and in their quarter-final 3rd game matchup against Mouse Sports. Now, his stats with that Irelia have not been impressed at all. I don't want to say not impressive. He's not had masses of kills, not had masses of assists, like 1-2-3, 0-1-0, 2-2-3. Been very low scoring matches for him.
So it's a comfort pick for Binzu. And I want to talk about the matchup. If we go to Super Week in the LCS, Wicked actually played Irelia into a Rise, which is the matchup we're going to be seeing here. He built damage. He went a very aggressive Irelia build, and he dumpstered Rise. In one-on-ones, both with teleports and, split pushing the lane, Irelia was winning that matchup. Wicked was ecstatic after the game because, well, it's Irelia and he was winning his lane. And I think if Binzu can put himself in a similar position and get aggressive and control Rise for the opening 20 to 30 minutes of the game, that's another positive way that Reason can take charge and grab reins of this first match in a 3rd place final.
So Denial, final 2 picks here, adding a lot of mobility in with those final 2 picks as well. Sivir, the AD carry, and taking Vi for the jungle.
So Vi this is the first time we're going to be seeing it this weekend. Clear, strong initiation. I like the fact that you've got a lot of mobility here. You've got movement speed increases you've got movement on every single member of Denial. So they have tools to deal with Reason Gaming and team fights. When a solar flare comes down, you can pop on the hunt and you can spread away from it as much as you can. You can maybe pounce out of the range. The trick for Denial is to make sure they pick the right targets when they jump into these team fights. If Denial overcommit by throwing Vi in deep and Kale can't get in range for intervention, or Nidalee's hanging out on the side trying to throw spears, Reason do have some tools to displace them and deal with them. There's a lot of hard CC and a lot of damage on Reason's composition.
And speaking of Reason's composition there, for the final pick, Orianna was chosen here for St. Cook's in that mid lane.
I would dare say that Reason have gone with a slightly more standard type of composition, that bruisery, tanky top laner that's a little bit more attack damage based with a lot of AP from your jungle and your mid lane. Over on the side of Denial, they've got a lot of their magic damage from their solo laners, both top and middle. And I think what I like about Reason is they also have a lot of tools to both engage and disengage. Shockwave can be used aggressively and defensively, as can Solar Flare. But what I do like about Reason is their champions have a shorter fuse before they can get explosive. And if they can take advantage of that earlier power plateau, they can really get into Denial's face and deny that early scaling, or that scaling that we're expecting from Nidalee, from Rise, etc.
With that, though, you've always got to bear in mind that if they implode it in the early game and end up giving some kills here, then that is complete bad news for them. If you look back to their games yesterday, they just weren't really present in them. Game 1, obviously, was the perfect game for Ninjas in Pyjamas. Didn't lose a kill, tower, dragon, nothing. There was nothing in that game for Reason.
Based off of yesterday's performances, you have to think that Denial would be a little more confident coming into today. They put up a good fight. It was scrappy, for their 2nd and 3rd victories. And they were at least on par with power with Cloud9. Reason Gaming, on the other hand, you'd have to think the expectations are low. They really got destroyed, and now they need to bounce back from that and deal with it.
So here we go then. In-game, it's Denial versus Reason Gaming, and the first match of what could be an epic best of 5. The prize certainly is epic. One of these teams will be going to the summer promotion tournament and a possible spot in the LCS waiting for them. Still a lot of work to be done before they get to that stage, though. And actually, Denial, we saw this from them yesterday, actually. They like to make a bit of a move at level 1.
Yeah, so Denial in 2 of their 3 games would go for this bush invade. They've got all of their members stacked up against 3 members of Reason, but there's full vision, so Reason should be able to get out cleanly. There's no hard CC outside of a rune prison, so if Babunya rather had skilled up his rune prison like he has, they've caught Chryslant, and that's very low.
That is good damage. Crystalland actually not flashing from that one. There were flashes available, but you have to think with Crystalland having flash and summoner heal available for him there, he would have survived.
So there was two things. On the side of Denial, there are no Ignite Summoner spells. You have a double heal lane from Woolite and from Super Rays. And you've got Intervention, and Kale's got a heal as well. So this is going to be a super let's never die lane. And if you ever see Woolite and Super Rays dying in these laning phases, they've been severely outplayed or been caught out of position. On the other side of the coin, we are seeing our first exhaust of the Challenger playoffs as well. And just keep in mind that the exhaust has been reworked on 4.5. It reduces more damage, but doesn't necessarily reduce as many auto attacks as well.
Yeah, I think actually yesterday Barney D did run that one against Ninjas in Pajamas. In fact, I think both supports were running Exhaust yesterday. We have seen Super A's when he played Kale yesterday was also running Flash Heal. Yeah. Right now, Reason Gaming actually pushing back here against Denial and moving in towards that blue buff. Denial have backed away from this one, and I'm not sure that they were spotted coming into this one at all. Either way, we are going to be seeing lane swaps coming around. In fact, both duos looking like they're going topside.
So we'll see how this lane swap works out. Yesterday's Super Ace played the Kale into Leona against Cloud9. And part of the reason I was not particularly impressed by it is Voidal had a lot of very good engages. At level 3 and level 4, Voidal was jumping into Super Ace's face and making his life very, very difficult. So we'll see how Barney D handles himself. You obviously assume that until Barney D gets some levels, he's going to be playing more defensively, and Crystalland should be losing some CS. Just about those junglers, it ends up being a blue buff swap. Teleport was used by Beanzu though, as well as Babunia to get to that bottom lane.
Get in there, and that will leave us with a duo on the top side of the map. Sivir Kale versus Leona and Lucian. And right now, we can see that Denial pushing this lane up pretty heavily already here at the start, getting some early damage off on towards Barney D.
Yeah, so, Lucian is pretty good at pushing lanes, in the early stages of the game. But when you have Kale with the Righteous Fury as well as that Sivir, it gives you a lot of lane control when you want to play that aggressively. The one thing that Denial need to be a little bit wary of is that they are dealing with a jungle Elise. Yes, Elise has had some of her numbers tweaked and dropped in recent weeks, but at the end of the day, she still has a cocoon, she still has a hard stun, and if Leona gets as well, there is a lot of damage that can come down.
Yeah, going on towards Woolite there. Actually, it's Super A's that's trying to put the damage back here onto Reason. To be honest, not really losing much HP whatsoever there. It was Woolite who took the brunt of all the damage that was dealt. Just to keep an eye on the junglers, Elisa's moved away from this top side of the map, so Trashy trying to get some early farm going on this one.
Yeah, working his way up in levels. I wonder the decision making if Trashy's feeling a bit more confident going into the Rise lane. We've seen it yesterday as well, that the Rise lanes tended to be ganked a little more often by the Challenger teams, and you can theorize it's just to reduce the time that he's CSing and try to delay his power spike. We tend to see Rises hit like activation, so to speak, around that 22 to 25 minute mark when the tier's fully stacked and they've got a Rod of Ages that's close to, if not completed.
Well, the CS in that solo lane down bottom is pretty bang even right now. Beanzu having that big wave pushed up under his turret. Not really having any problems with that Blade Surges. Babunia going to be forced to flash here. He just caught sight of Trashy down the back. There is a repel coming in. Have they got the damage? Cocoon going to come out. They lock him up. And that's first blood going over to Reason.
After watching that introduction video where Denial were talking about how Trashy, if he performs, Reason will win. And if Trashy doesn't perform, Reason will not win. That is a great gank. They did have to burn the flash for Trashy, but he threaded the needle through the cocoon just past the minion wave. Not only did they grab themselves first blood, it went to the top laner, Beanzu, which is great, and all of this golden experience has been denied to Rise. Keep in mind, though, that Kikis is now a little bit ahead in experience to Trashy, so that Assault and Battery from his ultimate will be there soon.
They spotted that Trashy was actually coming towards this mid lane, and Nick just going to step away there. Does get hit by the spider lane, and now Woolite taking a lot of damage up in this top lane as well. Leona having a good time of landing these Zenith Blades up until now. Woolite needs to be a little bit wary of this one.
This is exactly what happened yesterday. Woolite and Super A's going Kale support versus Leona. They were playing on the back foot for a large portion of that laning phase, thanks to well-timed engages by both Leona players, Voidal yesterday, and so far, Barney D today. Because of the fact that Woolite is on less than half hit points, he cannot afford to play aggressively. The moment Barney D steps forward, you'll notice Woolite instantly backs away. If he gets caught by another Zenith Blade and stun, There is 2 heals that need to get burned through, but there is the threat of him getting taken out. So keep your eyes on those summoner heal baits, which DNL might be trying to play for.
Interesting seeing him holding on to that spell shield to, not block out Crystal, and knowing that he's probably going to have to save that for if Barney D actually goes diving straight in on top of him there. The CS between the two AD carries is pretty even considering the amount of damage that's been put down here by Reason. 43 to 39 CS, and there's a big wave pushing on towards Denial here, so that will actually bring him straight back even and maybe even put him in the lead if he manages to land all those. If we look down the bottom here as well, we see that Rise has now got his tier completed with the boots in there as well. Double Doran's Blade and Doran's Shield, so the 3 Doran's items start for Binzu.
So we talked about how if Irelia does go an aggressive item build, damage, etc., you can actually deal with the Rise in those early stages up until the point Rise starts getting like super tank levels. I like seeing that double Doran's Blade and Shield. If Binzu can keep getting some kills and keep getting lane dominance, he needs to take advantage of this very early pass spike and not go down.
I'm gonna take down Binzu, and that's Kiki's coming in there, and to be honest, both of these teams had a lot to say about each other's junglers. Barney D actually quite deep in this one. They're going to go on towards Warlight. There is one summoner heal going to be used. Have they got the damage to force them away? Crystalline actually down to half HP from this one. The Boomerang's going to do a lot of damage, but Warlight's still fairly low, and there's still a heal there for Crystalline.
So 1 heal on each side. We'll see how they make that work. Kikis is going to go in on Senkux in the mid lane.
Yeah, I'm not sure he's going to get in there, though. That's the danger. Actually, we will see the Shockwave use on towards Kikis, but he needs to be very careful here. Nick gonna go diving in. Here comes Trashy Cocoon, not quite got the range. Kikis now trying to escape and will escape from that one. Already got out of range, and they're just gonna push straight down this mid lane. They've got quite a lot of minions with them.
Yeah, and they'll be able to get a lot of damage on this mid turret. It does look like the Nick wants to get in range to at least CS. Smart call by Reason to back away. I want to go all the way back to the kill in the bottom lane, as Binzu is going aggressive with Babunya.
He's going very aggressive. Actually going to dive into him there through the ultimate his way as well. And despite that kill that Babunya picked up there, Binzu coming straight back into it and saying 1v1, I can still have you.
Yeah, the problem is, every time Binzu does that, he burns through his mana pool. The Cocoon doesn't connect, and this is a risky dive.
Are they going to dive it? No, they're not. Without the Cocoon there, still far too risky with Rise having that ability to lock you up underneath the tower. And then you will see the first blue buff's going to be gifted over. 8.5 minutes in, first one of the game there for Nick. Trashy going to start his off. That will, of course, go over to Seconds as well.
Very active ganking paths for both of these junglers in those solo lanes. If either team had managed to secure kills like at these later stages, these later minutes of the game, it may open up some pathing towards the dragon. But the one thing that, Denial really want to do is they need to match blow for blow. If they give up a kill, they have to try and find a counter kill. If Denial give up a tower, they have to find a counter tower. Because the moment Denial start falling behind, that's when their champion composition is really going to struggle. On the flip side, knowing that you've got that Nidalee poke, knowing that you're going to have that guaranteed engage from Vi in conjunction with at some point guaranteed damage from Nidalee, a spear will land. You then have a very nice mid-game strategy, but Binzu is taking so much poke from Babunya.
Oh, well, that's dead. Crystal finishing off that one there in the top. Barney D once again locking him up. They hit 6 and pretty much went all in on that one. We see the solar flare on cooldown. Binzu actually falling low again in this solar lane. And Babunya, whilst he's got good damage on there, I don't think he's quite got enough to finish him off.
Not just yet. And remember, he's not running that Summoner Ignite. So the kill threat is not quite yet. Now they're diving Super Ace.
They're diving Super Ace, who's only level 5. There's a flashback from him. Will he get away from Crystalline, who's going to have a dash up here in a second? Is there a heal available for Super Ace? Crystalline decides not to chase in, and he's gonna survive it, but they may lose the tower.
Small misplay by Crystalline to not actually get the last auto attack and secure the kill. I think at the end of the day, getting all of this damage on the tower, we do see Siva moving into range to defend as best as she can. But advantage to Reason Gaming, they should take this tower down. They do. And now we need to see, do they rotate around the map? You tend to see that tower falling and then moving the dual lane. Binzu may go down. Assault and batteries available.
But Babunia's got no mana left here, but there is the assault and battery coming in. Is the finisher going to come down? Kiki's taking too much damage. Babunia will flash around. Binzu managing to get some health back, and Babunia has to back away to the tribush. Oriana is coming down. Babunia's going to play the recall game here and hope that he can get away before Oriana gets in there. I think he's got enough time to get away from that.
He does.
St. Cooks does come around. around, but it's just too late.
And just like that, misplay in the top lane, not landing all of your abilities together. And unfortunately, Babunya, because he burned so much mana in the trades earlier on, trying to control Binzu in the lane, he didn't have enough mana to work with the gank from Kikis. To be fair, they were running for a couple of seconds longer as well. They were trying to get in range for that assault and battery. Kikis had to flash just to get in range. It was not ideal, and at the end of the day, Binzu, you have to think a little bit lucky to get away with his life there, as well as that great positional play with his Blade Surge underneath the tower.
Well, look or not, it looks like Reason are going to try and turn this into a dragon pickup. As Nick just waiting off to the side here. The spear's going to be thrown through. The culling will come out from Woolite as well. And there is the dragon pickup. It's going to be Trashy that smites that one away. First one of the game going over to Reason. Gives them quite a considerable gold lead here at 11:45.
Even without the kill in the bottom lane, because they secured the tower up top, Reason had rotated their dual lane towards the bottom half of the map, and that immediately just gave them a numbers advantage. They had a positional play as well. Even though Denial knew it was coming, they did not respond quickly enough, so they couldn't challenge and they couldn't contest. Reason with a very strong start to this game. I do want to say it was somewhat expected. When you look at the champion compositions, you do feel that Reason Gaming have champions that can make plays a little more often, but you have to give props to Denial. I think Kikis has had two pretty good ganks against Binzu Zarelli in that bottom lane. And I don't think Denial can afford to fall further behind. The moment they do, Rise and Vi should be able to burn through Irelia or Elise when they jump into fights.
Now as Nick's just getting pushed on. Actually, Binzu going to come in. There's a flash away. Kiki's actually using the assault and battery there onto Binzu underneath the tower. But look at the damage that Kikis has taken from that one. He's going to have to Vault Breaker straight back out of there off to the Wraiths. And that may just leave this turret under pressure now. 3 men coming in for Reason Gaming. Nick starts to back away. He's pretty low on mana. Kikis is pretty low on health. They have to be careful.
Yeah, at this point in time, because there is some AoE from that Vi as well as the Cougar from Nick, I think if he goes in range, if a Cocoon lands, that's it. There is kill threat. They pulled Babunya down from that top lane. He was only on his inner turret. But as you've highlighted, Nick has got no mana to throw javelins. He's just trying to poke them down. Unfortunately not connecting, and wave off the wave. As long as Reason brave it out, they should be able to get this tower on the next wave.
See what Babunya can do to stop that one. He's got the Catalyst now finished off with his tier. Second mana crystal as well. So another spear comes flashing through, but again, you see Babunya having to use his ultimate here to finish off that creep wave as fast as possible to deny some free time onto the turret. There again, Nick just jumping forward, and again, we'll lose out on that trade. We can see down the bottom as well, Super Ace is struggling and you're having to heal constantly on himself.
Yeah, I think Nick is missing a lot of those abilities, and Super Ace is in trouble.
Yeah, this is mega trouble for them. He got just behind the turret there. And we saw the Solar Flare maybe a little bit too late into that one, but either way, they're going to get a tower from this one, and Denial know it. They're going to back away from that mid lane, and that will be the second of the game for Reason. It's not over just yet. They're going on towards Crystalline. He's not got no mana from this one. Barney D trying to finish off Super Ace. Well, that actually will go in on towards Barney D from this one, but to be honest, neither team really healthy enough to commit fully.
Yeah, not only are they not healthy enough, there wasn't enough mana pools for either Crystalline or Woolite to actually go for those engages. So what we've seen from Reason is they continue to persist even if they are at a little bit of a disadvantage. They hung around in that middle lane through 4 or 5 minion waves to force the tower down. The moment that tower drops, Trashy immediately rolls down to this bottom lane. He's backing up his AD carry and support. They wanted to apply pressure to the tower, but you'll notice they don't have a lot of vision of missing champions of Denial. So the moment they calculate, Vi is missing, she's probably going to Assault and Battery up, we don't want to run the risk of her jumping into us. They back away, play it safe, heal up, buy their items, and I'm expecting them to siege that bottom tower again. Tower down again.
It's 2 towers here, which is 2 more towers than they got in the first game of yesterday's semi-final best of 3 against Ninjas in Pajamas. That perfect game, and well, we could say that about the kills as well. 2 more of them and 1 more dragon. So overall, things are looking up for Reason.
They are, and I have to admit that for Reason in game 2 yesterday against NIP, they did look better. They had some plays that you actually felt like they were competing. You know, in game 1, they really just got outclassed. Now, I do feel that Reason Gaming have got a nice advantage now, but they cannot afford to let it sit. They need to continue pressuring it, get more towers, and more importantly, get some deep vision. They have got champions that can make very good plays if you know what's up. And right now, they're jumping on Woolite.
That is the culling coming through. Barney D getting the slow there from Super. It doesn't do any damage to Barney D whatsoever, to be honest. And now we see that Nick is coming around. Chrisland almost in range from that one. Senkux has come in, and this is a natural progression really for Reason. The final outer turret left on the map.
Yeah, because Wula takes a big chunk of damage. The champions that Reason Gaming have makes it very difficult to engage upon. As long as they don't get poked down too much, say for example Vi throws herself in with Assault and Battery, assuming Barney D lands a good solar flare on the rest of Denial, that means Reason Gaming can focus down Vi, then turn their attention to the next champion. You know what, if solar flare doesn't hit, let's use the Shockwave from Orianna to displace Denial and allow Reason to reposition. We'll see if it works. They pick the fight.
They've gone very far forward from that one. Trashy coming in, gonna land the cocoon on towards Nick, but it's Kickers that they want from this one. Intervention comes out, he flashes. There's a Shockwave that will hit Babunia. They tried to get away. Bizu gonna be blown up though by Babunia, and now they turn in. Spear lands onto Barney D. It was meant for Senkux, but he flashed away, and there is Kikis diving in. Too far, he falls down, and in the end, a 2-for-1. Well, they just sidestepped that cocoon. I think that's going to be the end of it, though. 2-for-1 in favor of Denial.
It is. If Denial want to stick around, they have enough health bars to siege down this turret. That was the theory that we were talking about. As the fight broke out, the solar flare was coming down from Barney D, not 100% ideal. The shockwave from Senkux only caught Babunia. So at the end of the day, Reason Gaming attempted the theory, use your ability to displace your opponents, and then focus them down one by one, but it was poorly executed. They didn't hit enough members with their key ultimates, and that allowed Denial to re-engage. So this is what we're talking about. Notice as Bienzu teleports in, the solar flare had only caught onto Nick. Even though Kikis is actually soloed away from the team, the intervention saves his life. That was a good use of that intervention. And similar story, Shockwave only catching one member. So the deeper Reason Gaming chase, the more damage they take. Ryze is given time to deal damage, Siva is given time to deal damage. That's the first real combat spell she's taken, and it was a cocoon that didn't have a very big game-changing impact for Reason Gaming. If Reason want to pick those fights, they can't afford to miss.
So, where does that leave us then? 2-1 still in turrets here, 3-3 in kills now tied up on that front, and just over 1,000 gold in favor of Reason Gaming. Bienzu here pushing this top lane out. Turret, of course, is already gone, and we talked about the final standing outer turret in this game. That is down the bottom lane, is once again being pressured by Reason Gaming's duo lane.
Yeah, I think Reason really want to get that turret and then get some deep vision down. Because of that last fight, Denial were able to grab themselves a dragon. It's the second of the game. Give themselves that additional gold. We noticed that Rod of Ages is sitting with Babunia. He's got his tier that's stacking up nicely, as well as picking up that Glacial Shroud. So he's also starting to get to the point that he's a little bit scary, and we'll see if he can get away.
I don't think he's going to. Honest from this one. Actually, Cocoon did miss from him, but honestly, there's enough damage in there with that Phage, with the Sheen as well now done for Bienzu. And of course, Elisa's damage just straight off the bat, those base statistics. But here we go, Denial looking to come in from the side. He's going to catch two there with a Vault Breaker. Assault and Battery comes in. There is the Solar Flare put down. The intervention onto Kikis, and in the end, they're not able to turn that into a kill.
Decent save there from Barney D. If you notice that the Solar Flare locking up the members of Denial in the back line. The one thing that really impressed me is just how much damage got applied to Senkux. He's only got that Athena's and Holy Grail. We'll get to that in a second. There's now Reason attempt the blue steal. They've gone in on Nick.
Nick's gone far too deep on this one. Actually, will fall. It's Bienzu that gets that one. Woolak going to get exhausted, but Reason Gaming decided not to go that deep. The blue buff is up for grabs here. Super Ace, Kikis, Woolak, the three men. They're going to try and stop this one from happening. They won't stop it from happening. That went over to Chrisland in the air. I thought in the end, I thought it was the smite. The smite did come in, but a little bit too early.
Yeah, smite tiny bit early from Kikis. We see Trashy didn't even use his in that particular engage. Reason come away with the kill and the blue buff steal. That is very important against Inidaly. If you can control her blue buff, especially at this period of the game, where extended sieges is what they're looking to accomplish, blue buff makes sure that that cannot actually happen. So, decent attempt, and Reason Gaming, they had a 3,000 gold lead, they picked a bad fight, lost a dragon, that lead dissipated. Now they found objectives and opportunities to extend their gold once again. But the longer this game goes, the less impactful that gold actually becomes, because of the fact that you're going to have these very good scaling champions with Ryze, with Nidalee, and I'm even going to say Kayle. Depending on how Super Ace builds, I'd like to see some ability power, maybe something like a Twin Shadows. It has been reworked in 4.5. The ghosts travel out and travel back. reduces the cooldown, gives you movement speed as well. I think it is an option that would be very good for Kayle.
Well, real men's ghosts never come back. Just saying. Mine never return. They always find their target. But yeah, I mean, wouldn't be a bad call possibly in this one with a team that's going to be chasing down later on in the game. And we see right now that they've pushed 2 men to middle. There are a lot of wards on the map right now. If we look at the bottom side, definitely in control of Reason Gaming at this stage of things. Top side is a bit of a tussle there. Both teams have a good amount of vision, as we are going to see Kikis here going on towards Beansu. Babunia trying to get involved, but he will get caught out by the Cocoon, and Kikis has left him all alone up there. Babunia pops his ultimate. Will they be able to chase through? Flashes away into the tri-bush.
So a counter gank from Reason Gaming. They bait Denial in and then force them away. I like the fact that Beanzu has got that Trinity Force. He was able to 1v1 Kikis and then 1v1 Babunia as well. It is the matchup that we talked about. We've seen it before in the LCS, and Beanzu is playing it very, very well. The risk is, of course, like we've seen, the moment Beanzu overextends or picks up a fight that's a bit more intense than he was anticipating, there is not enough defensive statistics on his side to survive the burst. And Babunia had the support of Nick, so he was trying to get a little aggressive there.
And again, though, Trashy was backing him up. Trashy was waiting just off to the side in that brush, in case anyone decided to push further out than the position that they were already in. Here is Nick going to be diving in to clear out that wave that was pushed up by Senkux, who has a very solid CS lead over his counterpart.
Look for the Cocoon, it lands!
Yeah, but Bruni's dead. Exactly what I was talking about before we went to the mid lane there. He waited completely. This Woolite here going to get pressured down, but the intervention coming in. They go on towards Crystal. We see there, summon a spare heal was used, and there is the turnaround. Barney D going to dive back in. Crystal flashed away there. They're both extremely low from this one. Are they going to get the speed in? There is the heal and that speed boost. A good calling coming back. Where's the Zenith blade from Barney D? It does land in there. Woolite gets exhausted. There's a heal coming back though. They could fight this one. Crystal and Barney D are so very, very low. I think the problem is they don't have any vision of the river. They're scared of someone coming down.
And low mana pools on the side of Woolite as well. So if he wants to spam those boomerangs or ricochets, it's going to be a lot more difficult. That was the first time that I've seen that support Kayle actually blow me away. Now in the top lane, not only did they get the kill on Babunia, the red buff, I think that was, manages to secure another kill that was onto Kikis. They also got the tower.
Last blade. It's just like
flying through the air. I think what was great about the bottom lane play between Woolite and Super Ace was the fact that that intervention really did save Woolite's life. He was stuck right up in the front line. Crystalline and Barney D were focusing him down. Now, there was no culling available. It had been used earlier in the fight. So what Super Ace and Woolite did is they timed their aggression well to be aware that Crystalline didn't have his ultimate up. In addition, they saved it to when it's most appropriate. In order for intervention to be successful, it needs to block a large amount of damage. And we'll see if they can make it work. This time around, Dragon has been started by Reason Gaming. Nick is just trying to spam spears. I don't think they can contest. No. And now they're re-engaging.
Yeah, this is really bad news. They've locked up Babunia. Their intervention used early. Barney D is right in the middle. They're going to lose the rise, though. There's a shockwave coming out to Super Ace. Beanzu dives straight into the middle. Woolite popping his ultimate very late on in this one. Beanzu takes a spear, and they try to get away from it. But now it's turned around. It's Denial that are chasing. Woolite gets one. Here comes Kikis from the side. Assault on battery onto Senkux. This is a massive turnaround for Denial. Trashy gonna flash away. Has he got the health to stay alive? He has, but Crystalline might find himself falling here. Nick gonna chase through. Spear not got the range.
So at the end of the day, that was a 2 kills secured for Reason Gaming, and they chased. They carried on chasing. They chased too deep. At the end of the fight, Reason Gaming lose 3 members. Now what I like is the solar flare was pretty good, but it was the successful solar flare was deterred by that intervention. The entire culling damage was blocked thanks to Kayle's ultimate. And even though Reason Gaming look very strong here at the start, look at the split. Nick is sitting off on the sideline. He's trying to find angles for javelin tosses. And the moment everybody goes low, there's no armor or magic is really on the side of Reason Gaming. So Irelia just gets shut down and popped by Kikis with the re-engage. Assault and Battery wasn't even used in the early because Denial were backing away. They didn't want that fight. They turned, get the kills, the tower, and the Baron.
Baron taken here for Denial, and that gold not quite evening up, but that is a massive shift of things. We'll see what Denial can actually do with this one, what they're going to be picking up. Archangel staff there collected by Babunia. If we look down the AD carries, we see that last Whisper added into the Bloodthirster and Static Shiv now, and we can see that Nidalee also well on the way to finishing off that Rabadon's death cap.
So I want to step back and look at why Denial is winning these fights. Even though Reason Gaming has picked the battles, they've landed a few good ultimates, but not enough to instantly decide the outcome of the battle. And as Reason Gaming are chasing, we touched on how mobile the Denial composition is. There's movement speed from Sivir, from Kayle, from Nidalee, from Ryze. Everybody's got movement-based abilities that work into their favor. And that the longer you chase, the more ground you cover, which means the more opportunities to turn and gain an advantage are presented to Denial. Because of the fact that they can out-position, out-rotate, and re-engage at a faster speed, Reason have to be 100% accurate with their engages, and because they've not been, it's allowed Denial those windows thanks to their high mobility.
Scary times coming up for Reason Gaming, and well, a scary 4 minutes at least, that's for sure, as they have to surely sit back and wait for this Baron to just time it out. And if you look at Binzu, they're 6-3-1, formidable position, got himself now a Banshee's Veil and a Chain Vest, so we'll see if he goes straight in towards that Guardian Angel possibly straight away after this.
Don't forget, on 4.5, Guardian Angel is now the key ingredient for the Warden's Mail into Randian's Omen, as opposed to 2 cloth armors. So it could also be Chain Vest. Thank you. I don't know what I said.
Guardian Angel, it just builds into everything these days.
The Chain Vest builds into the Warden's Mail plus 280 gold. So we'll see if I feel like that's going to be the more likely option. That will also mitigate all the movement that Denial has. Thanks to the Baron buff, Reason no longer wants to fight. Not only do they need that, but look at the opportunity. They've got an inner turret, and they're going to get some damage on the inhibitor turret. That is just super sneaky.
Given away, to be honest. They push straight up that top lane with 4 men. Kind of have to expect that. Reason really seizing an opportunity that's gifted to them on a plate, to be quite frank there. And that's something that Denial can't really afford to do at this stage. Super is going to get caught here in the cocoon. Intervention used on himself. Will Denial want to chase this one? Looks like they will. Kikis moving forward. There is the Assault and Battery. It's going to go straight through on towards Crystalline. They throw it in. They've got back at Kikis. But here comes the rest of the team. The Culling comes in. Babunia going to get locked up for quite a while. The spears landing left, right, and center. There's the shockwave. It's only a 2-man. Woolite blocked it with his spell shield, and he's going to try and chase through. In the end, Denial don't get the kills, but they've got positioning on mid.
And they're going to chase it down. If Denial can put Reason Gaming underneath their own turret, the Nidalee Javelin Tosses plus the Boomerang Blades make Reason Gaming's life so much more difficult. Keep in mind, Solar Flare's not up, Shockwave is not up, so Denial are going to basically win the fight thanks to great positioning and grab themselves a reply in a turret. It looks like they want to continue the siege. They've got about 30 seconds left on this Baron buff. Let's see what they can do with it.
Well, I'm taking a lot of damage there from St. Cooks, and a little bit late on the spell shield to protect himself from that. And here we go then. Nick waiting off to the side. He's just going to be lobbing those spears in from the back. Not quite got the range this time around to find Trashy. And Kikis doing a little bit of tanking up there. Honestly, he's not tanky enough at this stage to risk going for that. But they do have a pretty much open inner turret in this top lane. The minion wave already pushed fairly far through.
So this is a case. The problem that Reason are in right now is the fact that they don't have the ability to catch all of the members of Denial. When they jumped into Super Raze earlier on, Super Raze used his intervention, and while the intervention was there, received heals from himself and from Nidalee, and all of the damage that was put down was instantly taken away. Reason Gaming need to blow somebody up and deal damage to a couple other members with their AoE abilities in order to make this work. And if Trashy's going to eat a Javelin Toss like that, it's basically going to gift the tower to Denial. They cannot sit underneath this turret and tank it up for too long with all of that poke going in.
And Solar Flare is not going to be effective. It goes towards Babunia. Will they turn around and attack this one? They just want to get them out of that turret range. There's a spear onto Bintu as well. Kikis this time does tank it up long enough for not quite the finishing damage. Okay, Woolite's going to say, you know what, I'll do it then. And he finally finishes off that tower. That's 5-5 now in turrets. We see that Denial brought it back to just 1,000 gold difference. They're just going to rotate here surely to bottom. It's already got the minion wave there.
There's nobody from Reason Gaming to get there. We'll see if Denial are going to make their way over. It does seem to be the decision right now. And you've got Dragon available. So they could have gone tower, then Dragon. The safe option is to go Dragon and assume Reason Gaming are going to go the tower. That's what we thought they were going to do. Instead, it looks like Reason are barreling down this middle lane. Ultimates all available on the side of Denial. So if a fight were to break out, the tools are there for Denial to make them work. And Barney D can't afford to hit a single-man Solar Flare. He has to get multiple targets.
Looks like Reason going for that positional play as well, knowing that they backed away likely towards the Dragon. By the time this minion wave actually gets here, though, they're already going to be spawning in. That's a big spear on towards Senkooks at the back. Are they going to keep throwing through on this one? They do have On the Hunt available if they were so inclined to use it, but decide, okay, let's not bother chasing this one through. We've got a minute till the Baron. Let's get a lot of wards in there. Let's get control of that first of all.
So what I'm getting the vibe of throughout this game is that Reason Gaming's under pressure decision making maybe isn't 100% on point right now. There's been two very clear team fights that Reason Gaming has initiated and chased and ended up losing. One in the bottom lane, one around the Wraith camp of the Nile's jungle. In that position where there was a tower under pressure, there was a dragon available, and very few minions in that middle lane, Reason Gaming opted to run all the way from their base to their opponent's inhibitor turrets. Yes, they did get some pretty good vision down that half of the map, at least in the entries to the middle lane, but that was it. That's all that was really gained. They didn't ward up their own jungle. They didn't ward the buffs that they could look to contest. Gold is completely even, and I prefer the scaling champions and composition of Denial in this situation because it's less reliant on hitting multiple members with multiple abilities.
So, Reason finally pushing out their base now with that Baron buff finally worn off. Baron, which you can't fault Denial on their decisiveness there, winning that team fight, going straight in for the Baron. A swift move from them, but here comes Binsu from around the side. He does have the ball on his head. He's got the shockwave available. They're actually going to throw the solar flare onto Nick, but the intervention comes around, and now the pushback from Denial. The Culling going to do little to nothing. More like, wow, he was completely out of position. Spell Shield won't save him. There is the repel away. Baboonia won't be able to finish off Trashy, and he may even fall himself. Binsu going to dive in there. This will be the finisher. It's Binsu that gets the kill. That's a 2 for 1. Only the support down for Reason.
So well played by Reason to find kills and make an ability stick. The fact that Wulai was instantly deleted and that he had his Summoner's heal available tells us just how far away from his team he was. He cannot afford to get caught out like that. Reason Gaming punished by grabbing 2 kills in reply for 1, but it doesn't lead to any objectives yet. There is a window of opportunity, but it's not the greatest. And I think if they try to go for this Baron, it is a little bit risky. Nidalee is going to poke you down from the back line, and we could see Kikis going in. Assault and Batteries up.
A lot of damage coming in. Turns out onto Super Ace. He's got the ball on his head. It's going to give him that speed boost moving in. There is the heal. Super Ace actually going to heal himself there to get away from that one. But again, they hold this position. That's although they lost health there, they've bought time here, Denial, and stopped Reason from just rushing straight in for that Baron.
Yeah, all 5 members of Denial are up, and because of the damage in Crystalline, this is going to be a very, very difficult objective to hold. It's one of these situations where Crystalline needs to back off. He either heals off a Wraith camp and those double golems and comes in at suboptimal HP, or he backs off the base and will be late to a potential Baron engage. Both of these teams feel that Baron is the next big fight or next big objective to battle over, and all of a sudden Nick and Kikis, they're out of position.
Binsu going straight in on towards Kikis here, and actually he's going to just run straight into the wall, forced to then flash over the top. I feel he should be fairly safe from this one unless Binsu goes completely all in on him. There's the slow back from Super Ace. Kikis will be able to walk away. We see that actually Chrislund is recalling on the top side there, so that would leave them without the AD carry if they want to go for this Baron. Rise does have teleport available, as does Binsu, so they basically can counter each other out if they go down the bottom of the map.
It's a really interesting setup right now because both of these teams, I think, are feeling the pressure of the major objectives, like those inhibitor turrets, like those Barons, but they haven't been able to outmaneuver their opponents. There's always been somebody who's a little too deep. You know, a minute or two ago, Nick or Kikis, they were running through the river. They ran so far away that all of a sudden, Binsu was now the one that was overextended because he was chasing so deep to try and make something happen. It feels like neither team has enough vision to accurately engage and outright win an engagement. And I think I'd like to see a little bit more wards determining initiation, not necessarily missed positions determining initiation.
Warlight's now got his Infinity Edge added in there, which is all well and good, but if you're too far forward and you just get blown up, then it doesn't matter if you've got those 4 items or 0 items, you're going to go down and be of no effect in the grand scheme of things. Denial, though, they have that gold lead back in their favor. Still behind on kills, still bang level on turrets. 5 apiece on that front. Baron, of course, is still there. We're going to have Dragon coming up in 1 minute's time as well. A little bit safer of an objective for these two teams to be around.
It is a little bit safer. It will still produce the same type of outcome, I feel. Both of these teams are happy to engage, and Dragon's going to be dealing quite a bit of damage now. It has been adjusted in 4.5, deals percentage HP damage, and will scale with the average level as well after level 9. So it's going to hit a little more heavier. What I'd like to see, though, is Denial trying to put themselves in a siege position. If Denial were to go past this Baron pit, get a couple of wards in the red buff area of Reason Gaming, they can use their Sivir and their Nidalee to keep Reason on the back foot. The risk is, of course, that if they try to perform a siege and fail to position correctly, a Shockwave and a Solar Flare by those inhibitor steps are devastatingly effective. So it's one of these situations where there's so much risk in any play that you do, because it can completely swing control of this game. With 37 minutes in, decisive teamfight will cost an inhibitor.
Trashy and Beans, who are actually down in the bottom tribal on Denial's side of the map there, trying to set something up. In the end, it will actually be them moving in towards the Dragon. Rise needs to move into position here. Babunia currently not in an area of the map where it can help out with this Dragon, but it's already started here. Reason get it down to half HP. They're trying to spear in, but that will be picked up in the end by Trashy. They get away without taking damage.
Yeah, a couple of spears get thrown up, but no real attempt to steal. I think Denial, again, didn't want to fall foul of being caught out. Both teams are playing quite safe. I think that's the best way to explain it right now. They're looking for opportunities in the hopes that something will present itself, but they're not trying to force anything themselves. So we'll see how they start out. Denial finally looking like the makings of a siege. I'm anticipating this is mostly just going to be a ward run, maybe. Get some vision in the jungle. We'll see how long they stick around. Because like we said, the risk of being caught on these stairs is very high.
Surprised that bottom turret actually lasted as long as it has here, the inner turret I'm talking about, because...
Positioning.
Yeah. Going for that one earlier on, as we see once again. Okay, Denial say we want the inhib turret. We're going to throw those spears through and hope that we can keep going on this one. There is one landing. Barney D loses half of his HP. Kikis stepping forward there as if to say, come on guys, I'll tank it up, get those shots off, but still very dangerous way to play it.
Yeah, so I like the fact that the spears hit Barney D. That's probably the best target. Solar Flare's gone in.
He's going to go straight into the net. Kiki's actually at the back that gets caught. Intervention comes in. Well, I gets the kill though. There is Binzu going low. The spear comes from the side as well. And it's Walleye who's absolutely destroying them right now. Chris Lund is going to go down. That will be a triple kill. Can he get number 4? Yes, he can. The turret's going to go down. Quadra kill going over towards Walleye, and that's surely game.
That is a fantastic play by Denial, managing to throw down that intervention that kept Kikis alive long enough to make Reason overcommit. They chased beyond the borders of their steps. Nick was hanging around on the tree line, landing spear after spear, and that was a very well-executed team fight from Denial. I do feel that Reason overextended, but game 1 goes to Denial.
Denial picking up game number 1, and I think a lot of people said that Denial were the stronger team coming into this one, but Reason looked a lot more impressive. We have to talk about, though, the fact that, was it comp reliant, the fact that they had such a strong earlier game, and as Denial ramped up, they did get stronger and inevitably came back?
I do think that is what a large portion of what it boils down to. At the end of the day, Reason Gaming had the first gank, they got the first blood, they had some very good aggressive positional moves across the map, but it never accounted to anything more than 2,000 or 3,000 gold. And every time they had a lead, Reason Gaming are the ones responsible for losing the lead. They picked bad team fights, they overextended and chased, and then when they did that, they lost everything that they'd already built up. Had those two team fights not happened, you could theorize that they would have had a 6,000 or a 7,000 gold lead, because if they had continued to accrue smaller advantages at lower risk, they may never have lost that dominant lead that they already had.
Same time, though, I think you have to give credit to Denial. The turnaround moment where they got the kills and went straight to Baron. We didn't see the Baron even because we were watching the fight again. That's how decisive they pulled that off.
Just as a very quick one, for Denial, they had a comp that needed time. They needed to wait. They needed to get items before they were powerful enough, and they wanted to re-engage. They have mobility. They have tools to get through front line, get to the back line, and reposition. And I think the moment Reason Gaming overextended, they were like, oh, hang on a minute. if we move this way, move that way, we can make this work for us. And they did. So their under pressure decision-making was great, and they played from behind, which is not something a lot of teams can do.
Well, guys, we are one step closer to determining the last team to compete in the LCS promotion tournament. We need to take a quick break, but when we come back, it's Game 2 between Reason Gaming and DNL Esports. Plus, CLG's jungler Dexter will join us to break down the series, so stick around, there's more Challenger action coming your way. Yeah, and this is really bad news. They've locked up Bavunia. Their intervention used early. Barney D is right in the middle. They're going to lose the rise, though. There's a shockwave coming up to Super Ace. Binzu dives straight into the middle. Woolite popping his ultimate very late on in this one. Binzu takes the spear, and they try to get away from it, but now it's turned around. It's Denial that are chasing. Woolite gets one. Here comes Kiki from the side. Assault on Patreon to Seikox. This is a massive turnaround for Denial.